Okay, I'm standing over by the frame of the truck, the Ford F750 haul truck. And you've seen this frame before, but the last video that I made on the haul truck project that I told you I was supposed to go down there on Wednesday and pick the engine and transmission back up after getting that adapter bell housing, the correct adapter bell housing that would make the 8.3 Cummins with a Eaton Fuller 10-speed. Well, I went down there on Wednesday and he wasn't ready. He had a flywheel, but he wanted to send it out to a machine shop just to have it faced off, and so it wasn't ready. And I've got to call him. I'm actually in the shop here on a Saturday, and I've got to call him and today and find out when it's going to be ready to go. Again, it's a salvage yard that picked up this adapter bell housing for me, and whether they got it from their own salvage yard or they had to go outside and get it, I'm not really sure, but they're kind of, they tell you something and it kind of changes. They kind of never get their target dates right, but it's a good place to go. They've got a lot of parts and stuff there, and I guess I'm not gonna bitch about it. It's not like I've got a deadline to get this thing done, but what I wanted to kind of go over with you is that fact, and the fact that I had made a shop video about getting some products, and I was going to paint the frame with this POR 15, and there was a big discussion and debates about whether I had to use this solvent, and I actually finally got this solvent, or whether it would work with lacquer thinner, and nobody was really sure. People had made... Okay, sorry, somebody came into the shop, return a tool that you borrowed. Anyways, what I was saying is, what I did is I sprayed a small patch of the frame that I had sanded down just to see how the product was going to go on, but basically more so to see if the product, I could clean up the paint gun with lacquer thinner and not have to use this solvent. And it turned out lacquer thinner cleaned it up just fine. Now the lacquer thinner is a different material. The ingredients in lacquer thinner are different from this stuff. This is a petroleum-based solvent, whereas this is kind of like a lacquer thinner. Well, it used to be like an acetone-based type of material. So, and I'm not a chemist, so don't take me on it. But let me take you over and show you what I did. Before I show you that little section of frame that I painted, let me pan across some of these engine parts and discuss that not getting that engine. Am I disappointed about not getting that engine? Absolutely. It did not fit the schedule that I had perceived for this build, but I've got to get over it. I'm just going to have to proceed along lines in a different way. Originally I was going to make those motor mounts and then paint the frame afterwards. Well, I'm going to have to paint the frame first and then attach the motor mounts over a painted frame. But anyways, I just wanted to kind of clarify that. It's not like I'm building it for somebody else and I'm on a fixed schedule. I'm kind of on my own schedule, and it will get by. We'll do it. But back to the original. I just painted a small section of it where I had sanded it. So this is it. Now, it probably looks better in the video. Not that it looks bad at all. It probably looks better in the video than it does in reality, because you get back in here, and let me see if I can show that to you. You see these kind of pitting into the metal? Well, if you come back here, you can kind of see that in there in places. Now, I am not going to be concerned at all about that unless it's an exposed area, and then I will address it. See, at this point in time, I'm not sure whether I am going to leave this as a finished coat, and this POR 15 is a gloss black, so this is kind of what the finish of it. Here, let me show you. I can take you over here. I was showing this to somebody else the other day. This is one of those headlight rings where I kind of buffed out the back and painted that POR 15 on it just to stabilize the rust, because in front of these rings the chrome is actually excellent, but if you get to the back of it, this is what I had to begin with. So what I did was just kind of brush that off and painted it on to see how this stuff worked. And as you can see, that gloss is the final color of it. But if I wanted to, you are able to paint over this stuff. So if I wanted to color match, let's say the body panels on the exposed frame or the frame itself, I could also do that. I could just sand it out, wet sand it out probably, and spray finish coloring over it. And I did the inside of that rail too, because I had sanded that area in there. I gotta keep bumping the screen to turn it back on so that I can see what you're seeing. Only the thing is, I'm looking at it like on an 1.5 inch screen, but hopefully you can see that. But anyways, I'm happy with it. Cleans up with lacquer thinner. Didn't have to buy that POR solvent. So if anybody out there is wondering about it, the POR, great product, or great products as I can tell so far, but you do not have to buy the solvent to clean up after with. Now, I'm not sure, this solvent, this POR 15 solvent, you can actually cut the product with it if you wanted to. So if you wanted to thin this paint down, which is thin to begin with, so, but if you wanted to stretch it out a little bit, you can add solvent to it. Now, you can clean the product up with lacquer thinner. I'm not going to say that you could cut the product with lacquer thinner. You might want to try, you might want to, if you are planning on cutting it, I would probably buy the solvent just so that you don't waste the product and end up having to maybe redo whatever you're painting. But anyways, I'll bring you back. I'm just going to kind of show you this quickly. I'm pretty sure that I have shown the inside edge of this fender in a previous video, but this is one of the only places where there was some rust on it. And what I did is put fiberglass cloth over the top of it and with resin on it. As you can see where the light colors are, that's where the rust was. Now, not there, that's a hole, and that's where I took the metal down to down to bare metal. But anyways, what I did is just put a coating of fiberglass cloth over the top of it Just wanted to reinforce it. Originally I was going to do it with sheet metal. Then I decided it would be too hard to get sheet metal formed in there, because in some places in the back there's a lip underneath it. So it would have been too hard to get it in there, get it tack welded on or riveted, whatever I would have done to do that. So I decided to go with the fiberglass cloth. I might end up, I'm going to, after this hardens, I will grind it off, grind off those bad edges and sand it down and figure out whether I need another layer in there or what I need to do to help just reinforce that. Then I'll pop them holes, those original holes through where the fender bolted into the wheel well. Okay, we're back on that fender, and what I did, the fender that I put that fiberglass strip down, what I did was took a sander or a flapper disc on a angle grinder and just kind of smoothed off the edges where the fiberglass was. I am going to put another coat on it, but let me also show you something else. There is, and hopefully you can see this, there is some holes through the top of the fender. Now this is the top of the fender where the hood would come down and sit on top of it. So what I'm going to do is, let me take you around the other side. What I'm going to do is clean this side up with a, this is the fiberglass resin that came through. What I'm going to do is clean it up with a flapper disc and take a wire wheel to this, and I'm going to put a coat of fiberglass on the back side of this thing, just a sheet of cloth, and then try and overlap it, fold it over. But at the same time, I'm also what I'm gonna do is clean this up and put a little patch of fiberglass in here so that I can just take care of the top of it. If I have to put some body filler material in there, I will, but probably what will happen is the fiberglass resin will come through those rust holes and take care of it, and all I'll have to do is just sand that off. But I just wanted to show it to you, the progress on it and where I'm going with it. Okay, one more thing on this fender, just so that people know what I'm going to do is, all I'm going to do is wire wheel this off, clean it off, sand it, whatever it takes to get this. There's like mud, rust scale and stuff on the inside of these fenders. What I'll do is clean it off, like I said, with a wire wheel, sander, whatever, and put that POR 15, paint the inside of them with the POR 15, just like I did the frame, or am doing the frame. And I'm just going to give you a brief shot of this. What I did is put that fiberglass in there and then roll it up the sides so there's a backing to that other one that I put on the front side, or let's call it the front side, the engine compartment side and the wheel well side. So I just put a backing on that so that it would stiffen up those areas where it rusted out, and put it down here where those little rust holes were through that top that I explained in the previous video. I just got shit on my fingers, but that doesn't matter. I was able to reuse the bucket, and let me explain it to you. Those buckets, fiberglass resin will harden in there, but they won't stick to it. So I was able just to peel out the old resin that was left in, the residue that was left in that bucket from when I had done the engine well side, peeled that out and was able to reuse that bucket. So not that the buckets are that expensive, but it's a pain keeping stuff in stock, you know what I mean? You use it and throw it away, and then you go to do something else and you don't have a bucket around. But anyways, there it is. Okay, so basically this is kind of what I'm doing until I get that engine transmission back and can get it test fitted into this frame. They are all things that have to be done, and like I said in the previous clip, whether I paint this thing now or paint it after I had put the engine mounting brackets into it, it doesn't really matter. Actually, it might be an advantage doing it beforehand so that I'm assured that the frame rails underneath the bracket mounting plates that go onto the frame are painted. So doing that, taking care of the fenders, just doing some odds and ends stuff, and hopefully the next video we will be back to me having the engine and transmission. You will hopefully see me start to test fit it into the frame, kind of get a relationship to how it's going to fit into the frame, and a relationship between the engine and the cab. So that's it for this chapter. Thanks for watching, guys. Hit that like button, subscribe.